Welcome to Swolefam. 4th edition Age of Sigmar is finally here, and while we are excited about the new Spearhead format, I'm naturally inclined as a person who has taught a dozen learning games of AoS to help guide people into which Spearheads could provide the possible next steps into a full army. Before we get into the criteria, I just want to note we had no early access to points, war scrolls, or anything. This is based solely on my experiences and historically how you may want to go about playing these factions. So take that as you will. So the criteria we're going on is pass, a weird assortment of models that generally lack synergy. Good, boxes that provide quality models that are generally decent, have synergy at times, and superb, excellent spearheads giving strong foundations into your chosen faction. Now on to the pass tier, which thankfully the list is fairly short. Daughters of Cain, Deepkin, Gloomspike Gitz, Maggotkin of Nurgle, and Disciples of Tzeentch. Granted, none of these boxes are so horrendous that you can't buy them and still enjoy yourselves, though I have to say they are in a tier of their own when it comes to being the worst Spearhead / Vanguard boxes in general. I'm just not a fan of the random assortment of models thrown together into a box, especially with the mortal and demon dyssynergy that a lot of factions have. That being said, Daughters of Cain has kind of gotten a boost because most of their battle formations in 4th edition are more generalist, so you can take kind of whatever the hell you want and it's fine. But historically their points are very low, so this box just doesn't have very much value point-wise. So the Swole stamp of approval for this tier goes to the Maggotkin of Nurgle. Even though I don't like the mortal demon dyssynergy, they also are just solid units on their own. Deepkin, it can be argued, have this as well. The Sharks, Eels, and Namarti are all very good units you always want. Nurgle, this has all units that you'll want, and they are worth a lot of points, so you're getting the most bang for your buck. On to Brighter Pastures with the good tier. Now we have 8 factions in this tier. Cities of Sigmar, Lumineth Realm Lords, Flesh-Eater Courts, Nighthaunt, Auric War Clans, which are specifically Cruel Boys in this case, He Knights of Slaanesh, Soulblight Gravelords, and Stormcast Eternals. Specifically, not from the Skaventide box, though both Spearheads from the Skaventide box, the Skaven and the Stormcast one, would be in this tier as well. Now for the Swole stamp of approval, I have to go with Flesh-Eater Courts. It's a bit on the nose because they're my favorite faction, but I do believe getting a bunch of their new sculpts and a very powerful Abhorrent Arc Regent builds perfectly into your generalist kind of playstyle or flexes into a more specified battle formation. Not much to be said here, there's just a good assortment of models all around in here. The Nighthaunt were actually almost in the lower tier, but eked back up because of their more generalist approach in 4th edition Age of Sigmar. Soulblight Gravelords, Lumineth Realm Lords, Auric War Clans also deserve a mention, being higher up in this tier because they just have a lot of good value units. And when you take a solid look at Soulblight and Lumineth, that's just a ton of units and some good value right there. Now for the superb tier, and we have Blades of Khorne, Fire Slayers, Caradron Overlords, Seraphon, Ogre Maw Tribes, Osiarch Bone Reapers, Slaves to Darkness, Sons of Bahamut, and the newly minted Man Crushers, Vanguard, and Sylvaneth. A totally stacked list. Now, there's some insane contention right here, but at the end of the day, I actually picked Fire Slayers for the Swole stamp, because unless you're playing Lofnir Lizards, this box literally has everything you'd ever want in it if you're building a Fire Slayers army. That can be said for a lot of these boxes, but this one just has the quintessential perfect mix of units. A couple notes I want to make here. The Seraphon box is very good, especially if you're doing a Saurus army. It obviously doesn't have any Skinks or Slann, so unfortunately for that. And also, Ogre Maw Tribes was on the verge of being in the good tier, but due to the introduction of a battle formation that makes Beastclaw and Gutbusters for the first time actually have a purposeful synergy, that makes the Mournfang not a weird inclusion anymore in this box. So that's it! What Spearheads are you most excited to crack into, or what full Sigmar army are you diving headfirst into? And tell me what you'd like to see in an Ironjaw Spearhead that we should get hopefully at some point. This is Rafik from Swolhammer. Stay swole.